Hello, Dr. James Bogash, Master of Health and Longevity and creator of Modern Health Myths. And today we're going to talk about yet another casualty from the pandemic. And these aren't casualties from the virus, these are casualties as a result of our response to the virus. I point these things out because people need to wake up to the idea that our response can have just as much damage as the virus itself. People refuse to see this, and all they look at are the deaths associated with that and not the downsides and the things that happen. We've certainly seen an increase in suicidal ideation, an absolute increase in substance abuse, people who have had heart attacks or strokes or died of infections that didn't go to the hospital. The list is becoming quite long. That's even forgetting or not counting what's going to happen with the lowered socioeconomic status of people who have lost their jobs, the billions of people that are going hungry across the globe, and rising rates of things like TB, which we had under control. So this one we don't have a good answer for, but it was actually a study done by the Washington Post, and it looked at dementia numbers. Something you need to understand before we talk about the number of excess deaths that have been associated, but since March, we have lost 134,000 people from dementia in the United States. Those are some really high numbers. And we seem to get blinded by the deaths that we have from COVID, and they seem to overtake everything. And yet, here we have 134,000 deaths associated with dementia, which, not to get into the discussion here, but you look at prediabetes and how much that plays a role, and lifestyle plays a role in dementia. These are all things that we can have an impact on with the right lifestyle. So the ultimate numbers that was determined at a little over 13,000 extra deaths from dementia. And these are, you talk about people dying in a hospital where their family couldn't attend. In dementia patients, these are, again, horrendous ends to these people's lives when they couldn't have their loved ones around them. Many times these loved ones are their caregivers. They are the ones that are doing a lot of feeding and taking care of their loved ones in these memory care facilities. And we lost them as a result of that at a much higher number than we normally would have. I don't have a good answer for how we could have prevented them, but just pointing out that there is a price to be paid for lockdowns and isolation. And we're at a stage now where if we had more PPE or more vitamins, if we weren't wasting all of our resources with testing, whoever decides to wake up this morning completely healthy and decides to get tested, maybe we could have shifted some of those resources over to care facilities so that their loved ones could go in there and see their loved ones. And more PPE, more personal protective equipment that could have been used by these people so that they could visit people. There's answers there. Those are probably two of the suggestions that if we hadn't wasted those resources elsewhere, in our desire to just have more people get tested, because we couldn't open up until people got tested, because somehow that changes how many people are infected. But again, just pointing out that there are consequences to everything, and the number, I guess it surprised me. I know we lose people to Alzheimer's and cognitive decline and dementia all the time. It's a little surprised that the number had been 134,000 since March alone. So that, and then the 13,000 plus excess deaths, those are not, and those are, again, horrendous deaths of people dying at the end of their life without their loved ones around them. And the ironic thing is, not having their loved ones around them is what accelerated the end for these people. So as always, I'll post a link to the Washington Post study if you don't have It's subscription only. Sometimes you can, there's ways, if you open in like Google incognito mode, there's times that you can actually view the article. But also make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs this information, and subscribe to the channel.